parties ruin relationships, but sometimes it gets to that where third parties really just cause, like Roger said, bizibu ku bizibu, or problem from problem to problem. They don't normally come in to build. I think along the way they get jealousy or they get carried away by what they see, and they just ruin a good thing. Like there's this lady that I was told, she was married, and Rogers is saying, how does a child become a third party? A child can become a third party. Say like I get involved with you, Rogers, and I come with a child, and my child doesn't like you. Trust me, my child will always be telling me things about you. And before you know it, there's that resentment that grows between us simply because I get to love my child and love you as well. So, really, a child can get in the way that way. And one other way they can become a third party is when, like, there's a friend of mine who got involved with a man who had a child now, and each time they were trying to spend time, quality time together, so they can strengthen their bond, the girl would come in and be like, what are you doing with my dad? Why are you here? And then she would just come and sit between them, throw those tantrums. And yet she was a grown-up girl, about 13, 14 years. So children can really become third parties, and trust me, that can already make a relationship crowded. I want to read some comments. Guys, this is a live chat. Go ahead and drop in comments. They will be read as and when there's time. Otherwise, Jamie says, hey, would you say that they do more harm than good? Third parties actually do more harm than good in a relationship. Like Lillian said, that three is always a crowd. So trust me, a relationship that has more than two people, it is already crowded. And words will flow back and forth. This other third party, a clear picture would be you draw two people, one on the other side, on the left hand side, one on the right hand side, and someone stands in between. That person that stands in between is likely to switch words from one place to another, and that would already cause havoc, or if not, a whole tear of a relationship. So yeah, third parties can do more harm than good, Jamie. Now, Kampala 256 says the only third party involved in our relationship is Museveni, is bad governance. Oh my goodness. Now, it depends on what relationship we are talking about. Yeah, it can be if you're looking at your country as a relationship. But now the one we are talking about is a relationship between two people, or between friends, between partners, between people who love each other, between a married couple. So those are the ones we are looking at right now, Kampala 256. And Rogers says, even Museveni is a third party. You people, you make me happy. That is true. I mean, I didn't know he's a third party. I thought he's a president taking our whole country, because our country is bigger. So it can't fall in that category of remember, that topic for today is when love gets crowded. So really, Kampala 256, unless you're talking about love for the country, and that is broad. It's not yet the topic for today. It's a different one. Probably you can suggest it, and it can be discussed on another day. But as for today, we are talking about when love gets crowded and the impact of third parties in relationships. So I hope I've explained that bit. Audrey says, what are your thoughts on polygamy? Oh my goodness. Polygamy is another one. It's not a relationship restricted to just two people. Polygamy, by description, is relationships between more than one person, between more than two people. So, really, that is not love being crowded, because this person chooses to go out and have this partner get this partner and another partner, and they relate on different grounds. So, polygamy wouldn't suit, except to these different partners this person gets, if they all have third parties between them. So like I marry you, Audrey, and then I marry Lillian, and then I marry Jamie, and then Jamie has her in-laws. Jadine comes with her child, and Lillian comes with her workmates. That is already a crowded relationship because everyone will come in to feed our relationship, and before you know it, that marriage will collapse. The marriage to these different people. I hope that explains, Audrey. Now let's go to what Lillian said. But sometimes the third party could be invited for advice by one of the partners. This sometimes brings its own problems. Tell me about it. There is this couple we were watching on TV. They went to, those people who are not living in Africa have this tendency of going to, they call them these counselors are called what? They call them psychic. No, not psychic. I go and speak to my therapist. Yeah. And these therapists, sometimes I found out they are twisted. This therapist never wanted them to recover. So he always said, so how does that make you feel? And how does that make you feel? And when they were trying to patch things between themselves, this man would make sure behind the curtains would see that he's trying to create havoc so they could keep on coming back. So advice, like Lillian has said, but sometimes third parties could be invited in for advice by one of the partners. Yeah, sometimes those third parties are invited. But remember, if you bring in a third party, only advise that it would help a relationship, both of you are aware of that third party. But there are cases when a relationship is crowded, when it's just me in a relationship and I bring in my sister to be the one to decide what food we eat at home, what my husband should buy for me. Or it could be that it's my husband's workmates who decide I'm not good enough. Well, I don't look at the part. I'm not the type that he should have got. That already will drive him away from me rather than bring us more close together. So, third parties invited, not my cup of tea. And Lillian says, Audrey, is polygamy legal? Audrey, you have to explain that. Lillian is asking, is polygamy legal? You can type and explain to Lillian if polygamy is legal. And Lillian says, also family tend to invade the relationship with their useless advice. Lillian is really done with family. True. Family sometimes, I know of this lady, she was getting married. In Uganda, when you're getting married, it's a big deal. I mean, you have this introduction ceremony where they bring in all kinds of things, and normally all lights are shining bright on the girl. So this time round, this lady had planned to wear 3 changing dresses. First 2 gomasis and then a dress that she would change in while she's carrying her basket to the man. But amazingly, there is this girl who was interested in her brother, the brother of the bride, and she had prepared her gomasi. A gomasi, for those of you who don't know what that is a traditional wear for Ugandans, Baganda people in Uganda. So she wore the gomasi. She had planned to wear her gomasi, but this sister-in-law comes in and sister-in-law to be comes in and says, sees the gomasi. And then she says, I will wear that gomasi the first time I go out. So that meant this girl was not going to go and greet because her sister-in-law to be was going to borrow that gomasi for her fourth change. But then you think about it. She had planned, to have her wedding introduction ceremony. If she really needed a fourth change of attire, why didn't she buy it? So me, I've seen family really come in and really mess up a good thing, and they would take her for a ride. I mean, they would come to visit and take away her watch. If say like they find her with a nice watch, oh, this one is really nice. Can I have it? My brother must have got it for you. Then she takes it. Her nail polish. I mean, shoes. Think about anything. They would come. If it's nice, they would take it. Now, to me, I think family can really get in and ruin things. Leave alone cultures where the Asians that we look at who get married and you marry my sons, you all live in my house. That is different. But again, it doesn't make it easy. relationships really shouldn't be that crowded. And they asked Audrey whether polygamy is legal. And Audrey says in some countries, polygamous relationships are legal and even placed on TV shows like a show called Sister Wives. Yeah. And those relationships, my dear, if you follow those programs of Sister Wives, those programs as well, those marriages end up in separation. I don't know whether Audrey has watched them lately. The very first wives have already left, and now the man is trying to hold on to the last maybe 2 or 3 wives that had been left, I think. So a relationship really should stick to two people just as intended by God. Others come in for advice, but from outside. They don't really move in and start dictating things. That's my opinion. But again, Audrey was saying, and Lillian says, Audrey, suppose it's legal in those communities, then maybe then they are prepared for the problem that arises